Happy Halloween. I'm just going to share my thoughts on a really controversial topic on Halloween, just to be scary. um, First, I'm going to start off with like an experience that I had um, over the spring, a shared experience. Um, so I was with my family in a camper, like a RV. We were camping up north. There's a lot of lakes. We were camping by a lake. And I had the weirdest experience. So, like, this was in May. And prior to this, I had like kind of like a next level of my spiritual awakening process, like a next level of disidentification. And so I had been in a really peaceful state for a number of days, feeling really connected, really unified, not afraid, not in my mind about stuff. And so everybody had gone to sleep. And for some reason, I was sitting on the bed. It was nighttime. I don't know why I was awake. But I was just like sitting there, feeling totally calm, totally calm. Let's see if I can get through a video without one of my dogs barking. And I all of a sudden like this wave of energy came over me, and it was like terror, the feeling of like visceral raw terror, like a feeling of terror as if someone is coming to attack, like that kind of a feeling. And it was so weird how it came out of nowhere. I think what had happened was I looked out the window, and then that feeling hit me. And I can't remember exactly how long this went on. When I think about it, I think it was somewhere between 20 minutes to an hour that this whole feeling stayed with me. I'm a pretty emotional person, so I'm not afraid to cry, but like this experience, it was just like all raw emotion. So I started like crying and kind of just sweating, like, you know, the adrenaline rush that you get when you're afraid. I wonder if I'm using my hand again. Bad habits to hold this phone. Going around the camper while everyone's sleeping, just in this state of terror, feeling like someone's coming to attack. Someone's coming to attack. Like this kind of a feeling. No thought process, no mental story this whole time, just pure feeling. It even got to the point, so like I started to freak out, checking all the windows on the RV, checking the door to make sure it's locked. Towards the end of the episode, I grabbed a knife out of the kitchen drawer and put it under my pillow. And then at that point, one of my kids woke up and was like, "Are you okay, Mom?" And I was like, "Everything's fine," you know, trying to calm her down, go back to sleep. It didn't make any sense. There was no rational reason behind it. It was just, and I've never had that happen before, ever. And that all happened around, it was like around midnight, from midnight to 1, kind of that range. And then the next day, my stepdad calls, who lives up in the area. And he's like my dad. He and my mom aren't married anymore, but he's really like my dad. But he was my stepdad growing up. Just call him stepdad. And he calls me up, and he's like, "Leah, something really weird happened last night." And I was like, "Oh my God." I sat down and I was like, "I need to tell you something too." So he just came right over to our campsite. The kids, my husband, were gone. They were fishing or something like that. So we had a chance to just like sit down and talk and share our experiences. So the night before, at around midnight, somewhere between midnight and 1, he had been sleeping, and he jolted awake because he heard somebody yell his name. Nobody was in his house. It was just him. Heard somebody yell his name. So he sat up, and he was like sweating and in a state of terror, fear. And the next morning, when he woke up to go outside, he opened up the door, and he lives in the woods, so it was probably an animal that did this, but there was a crow's head sitting by his front door. To me, that's kind of a bad omen. And then when you couple like the two experiences that we had, that's kind of a little bit bizarre. And he wasn't quite sure what to make of it. I felt like it was some kind of a premonition or indication of something. So like the feeling that I had was very clear. It was like attack, like the feeling of an attack coming. And I mean, we have seen, so there was the attack that spurred this escalation between Israel and Palestine. That was a really, I think when I first saw that news story, the day that it happened, the first news headline that I saw was Israel goes to war with Palestine, and or it's war or something like that, and I was just like, oh no, like, oh no. I couldn't even like touch the story. I watched a little bit of the story, but like I didn't talk about it really for a while. Like I was like, okay, I gotta really process this. So like the experience that I had, I don't know if it was necessarily a premonition about this attack, but what I do think is there has been an escalation of insane behavior from people in the highest positions of political power on the planet. I want to say that this is it, but I don't know. I don't know. So I'm not going to jump to any conclusions about that shared experience I had with my stepdad, but it just seems interesting. And so like first I want to say human beings are human beings to me. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care about any of that stuff. Human beings, all lives are equal. And when we have people in positions of power behaving in shitty ways at the expense of like the average people, I kind of put the blame, of course, who do you put the blame on? Do you put the blame on the average Jewish person or the average, person who's, what is it? I don't know. My brain's shorting out right now. It's a big one. It's a big conflict. I think that I don't know, just like the extreme callousness on the part of like the Israeli government and Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, like the killing of all the children and innocent people. Like it's so much to process, to think about the way that humans will just murder each other, that it's hard for me to formulate my words and like coherently speak about this. Isn't it interesting that, okay, so we have laws in society, different countries have slightly different, variations with that, but basically we all agree that murder is wrong. And judicial systems have pretty serious penalties for people who commit murder. What is going on where when it comes to war, all of a sudden the rules shift and change? So I absolutely, my heart goes out to the people who were victims of those Hamas attacks in Israel. Absolutely. I mean, that goes without saying. I'm just gonna say, leading up to this, and really, I don't trust the mainstream media. I haven't trusted it for a long time. So the stories that were given about what really led up to different incidents and conflicts and things like that, I won't automatically trust the details of the story that I'm hearing, because we've been lied to so many times about different things. We know that Benjamin Netanyahu is kind of a corrupt character. That's not a secret. That's really not. I kind of wonder if the Israeli government has seen Palestine as like a thorn in their side that they just want to get rid of. You guys go away. We take that land for Israel. I don't know. Seems like, I know that might come off as kind of salacious and intense, but you guys, I'm just kind of pointing out the obvious here. the people, like the average person in Israel, I'm sure that they're wonderful, sweet people. It's not them that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people in the positions of power. Palestine, the people of Palestine have been treated like shit for a long time. I have watched like independent journalists on YouTube who actually go to different locations in the world. And I remember a while back, I don't remember the guy, but again, this is not a secret if you actually do some digging. This guy who went to Israel, and you can go the border, you can go through these different checkpoints, and you can go into Palestine. So this guy went in, had his little hidden camera. I don't know if it was hidden, but I think he was discreet about it, because I think that you kind of have to be a little bit careful about that. And was filming and talking to average Palestinian people for a while. I don't know the exact time frame. Israel will cut off, or has been randomly cutting off water to Palestine. Like, they have control over their electricity, their water, the supplies that come in. All of these things are controlled, or have been controlled, by Israel. And Israel has been a bully to the people of Palestine. I'm just going to say it. I am not pro-Palestine. I am not pro-Israel. I am pro-human being and decency and pro-humanity. And the people of Palestine have been treated subhuman by the Israeli government for a long time. Limited medical supplies, limited building supplies, like I had mentioned before, randomly shutting off the water for long periods of time, electricity. Oh, here was another thing that I had watched in this guy's experience when he had gone through Palestine, talking to the people. So there's walls between Israel and Palestine, and these walls have Israeli soldiers at the top patrolling these borders. And these people are saying, and he actually, I believe, witnessed it. Israeli soldiers, it's not uncommon for them to throw bottles full of piss at Palestinians walking by, just like this dehumanizing kind of stuff. And so this didn't just come out of nowhere. People should not have been killed. Nobody should have been murdered by anybody from Palestine. That's not the way to deal with this. I do not believe in that. However, one, if you really know what's been going on, can kind of understand why maybe some of those people had reached a breaking point. Not the people of Israel. The Israeli government has been a bully to Palestine. They're fighting over this land. They both believe that it belongs to them. Israel, come on, they've kind of had the upper hand for a while, and they haven't really, in my opinion, I'm not that great about, like I've mentioned in other videos, facts regarding history and geopolitical issues, but I think it's pretty fair to say that they have not been willing to compromise with the Palestinians. It's kind of, to me, and I know this is going to sound really, really, really harsh, but I do kind of think that the way that the heavy-handed way that the Israeli government, Benjamin Netanyahu's still in power, the way that they went down with an iron fist. I mean, thousands of people killed and murdered. Women, children, babies, men too. They're all their lives are precious, just murdered. Kids becoming orphans. How can you justify that level of killing? You can't. It's not civilized. And so I don't think the simple motive of, oh, we're retaliating for the Hamas attacks, because the extreme level that the Israeli government has gone to after this attack shows me that there's more to it than that. More to it than just an eye for an eye kind of a situation. That's really what I think. So it's a really intense topic. I will say, nobody should have been murdered. I don't care what religion you are. You should be able to just live your life and not live in fear of getting murdered. whatever religion, whatever gender you identify with, whatever race you are, any of that. So I'm not taking a side. I'm just pointing out the way I see it. And just like knowing about the murder that continues to happen. What is wrong with the world? There's something wrong. Something is not right. So I think we all need to really start digging within and doing our inner work and figuring out how to transform humanity, because it happens with each of us individually. It doesn't happen by us pointing out other people's shitty behavior necessarily, but it's heartbreaking. I mean, really, at the end of the day, those are the only words I have. It's just completely and totally heartbreaking. On that note, I'm going to leave you. Happy Halloween, and take care for now.